Greetings everyone. Today we continue our reading of Prabhuji's book, Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Love. And in our last meeting, we discussed what I call the disclaimer, a portion that Prabhuji express what he is not. A portion that can teach us very valuable lesson in our way to approach a spiritual life and a spiritual master in general. And I would like to continue from that point. And he continues, I will gladly show you a place where everything calms upon arrival. A place beyond the sun and the stars, beyond your desires and longings, beyond time and space, beyond concepts and conclusions, beyond everything that you believe you are or imagine that you will be. Here Prabhuji speaks about that place where everything calms upon arrival. And although most of us are not familiar with that place, if we look into what directs us in our life, in our very core, our most existential aspiration, if we really look there, we might be able to see that all of us, everyone, regardless if we follow a spiritual path, if we practice religion, if we inquire, we all search for that place. And Prabhuji concludes this paragraph saying that that place that we all search through all our efforts, through our desires, through our longings, lies beyond them. And not only that, he says that this place lies beyond what we, I will say it in my own words, what we perceive ourselves to be or what we believe we will be, which is very significant because we might feel that, so we search for that place, we search for this infinite bliss, we search for love, we search for peace, we search for freedom, as we discussed earlier, and we feel that right now we are not in that place. Right now we are not free. Right now our ability to love is limited, and we feel that we want to love and feel loved, especially feel loved more, infinitely more than we feel at this moment. We want to feel peace. We want to feel situated. We want to feel home, as Prabhuji wrote before. And this is something existential in us. We can ignore it for a while, or we can misplace the direction of it, which we do most of the time, but we can't deny it. We can't delete it. We cannot erase it from our life, from our existence, because, as Prabhuji mentioned before, it's like an ocean that searches for water. According to the scriptures, all the holy scriptures of humanity and testimonies of Prabhuji and all the enlightened masters along the history, we cannot ignore this because this is what we are. We do not experience in that, yes, but this is what we are, and that's why this longing cannot be stopped. It can be postponed, it can be replaced, but it cannot be stopped. And so that place lies. So we feel that, okay, so we're not there yet. we would like to be enlightened, we desire to be enlightened, we desire for all those things, but this is not where we are right now, but we will be there. We will be there very soon. If we will do this and that, if we act in a certain way, we will be there. And Prabhuji say here something very valuable, that this will be there might be a certain idea that that not necessarily will lead us to what we're really searching for. So he said that that place that you so desire, that we so desire, lies beyond what we think we are, or how we perceive what we know about ourselves, and also beyond what we think that we will ever be. Because, and why it is this way? Because what we think we will ever be, maybe it's just a certain concept, a certain idea that we nurture based on our very limited understanding of life and a spiritual path and enlightenment, or whichever way we would like to call it. So we project something. And when we project something, anything, we project it on a basis of some previous knowledge, of some preconceived ideas, some preconceived concepts that we acquire. And on the basis of that, we see ourselves in the future. And Prabhuji said that that place lies beyond all of that. And at the end of this paragraph, something very important that I missed, Prabhuji speaks about that you believe beyond everything, that place lies beyond everything that you believe. And this concept of belief is a very profound and a very significant, because we live our life with the notion that we know. We have very solid conclusions about who we are and what life is and where we aspire to advance in life. But here Prabhuji once again brings this concept of belief, that maybe everything that we know about ourselves is just mere belief. So what we believe we are, or what we imagine that we will be. And then before Prabhuji continues with what I would like to discuss, there is another very important point that he writes here. He says, I am just a whim and maybe a joke from the sky, and the only mistake of my beloved spiritual master. This is a very beautiful point, and Prabhuji speaks about it quite often throughout the years. And you can say it's beautiful expression of humbleness, but I feel if we will take this way, of course it is, but we will miss something very important. And what we will miss? Throughout the years, Prabhuji mentioned many times that throughout his life, throughout his search, he always felt tremendously grateful. Tremendously grateful and unworthy, but in a way you can say in a constructive sense of this word, because we can feel unworthy. And for most of us, this will translate of something that take the aspiration and the energy to do anything, because if we feel unworthy, so we feel weak and we feel that we will never reach our goals. But for Prabhuji, this feeling of unworthy, it's a kind of realistic look at himself. But at the same time, instead of discouraging him, it encouraged him tremendously, because then he said that if this is the reality, we are unworthy. We feel, and this is important. I feel this is an important point that we can learn from it a lot, that we feel in life in general, and we educated to feel entitled. We feel entitled. We thought that we're entitled for this and entitled for that, and if we do certain efforts, we feel more entitled for certain things. And here in spiritual life in general, you have this manifestation of realistic humbleness. Prabhuji mentioned in one of the occasions that humbleness, it's not to feel that you are nothing. It's to look at yourself objectively and to understand that in front of this vast mystery, which is life, we are nothing. And it's not, and it doesn't need to discourage us. It needs to inspire us. Because as someone so insignificant, and you don't need to think in this in the context of religion, we just, and at night with the clear skies, preferably in a place without light, we just can raise our head and look into what we can see with our limited vision, this marvel of the night sky. And it can give us some perspective, how significant we are as this living entity on this little ball that float in the infinite universe that we call Earth. So we are not so significant and we're not entitled. But with all that, when that insignificant being as we are open its eyes and begin to marvel and begin to search, begin to ask questions about what he is or it is, and about the nature of life, this is incredible. So that's why Prabhuji say here that I'm a whim. The very fact that this insignificant living being with such a short span of life can ask those questions manifests its true greatness. And in this way, Prabhuji say that because we are not entitled, because we are so insignificant, any advancement, even just a mere effort to go in this direction, is great. It's so important. So Prabhuji say, I'm just a whim. Something that happened to me is not because I'm entitled. It's not because I did something in this life that I deserve that. No, this is not a right attitude. I remember we spoke about the disciplehood, that Prabhuji is such a perfect example of that. That you need to be vulnerable, you need to be accessible. It's not something that you can possess by any means or efforts. The scriptures all along humanity declare that you cannot buy the divine. You cannot possess the divine. You cannot, the Upanishadic literature say that the self will reveal itself to whoever he chooses. You cannot obtain it by any means, not through sacrifices, not through study of the scriptures, by any means, not through austerities, by any means. Self can reveal yourself. Self can reveal itself at any moment to whoever it chooses. And we discussed that self is the water. If we compare this beautiful comparison that Prabhuji brings, that the ocean that longs for water. So we already this. We do not experience it this way. And once the self, which according to Prabhuji and many holy scriptures is the only thing that exists, when that self, which means that it's what we are at this moment as well, when it chooses to reveal itself, then we'll be able to see. But Prabhuji here say that it's not something that we can possess, and it's not something that we're entitled to. So it's a very precious key, it's a very precious advice that he gives us here, that we should be in this humble, realistic attitude, that if something of the divine, if something of the self decide to reveal itself to us, it's a grace. It's a whim of the self. And in relation to the spiritual master, here Prabhuji speaks about that he is the only mistake of his spiritual master. And just to give us a context, within Sanatana Dharma, and I believe in other traditions in a similar way, we should not see a spiritual master as a mere human being that guides us. But as Lord Sri Krishna speaks in Srimad Bhagavatam, we should see the spiritual master as himself, in a sense that spiritual master is not a mere human being. He possesses the qualities of the self. He is the self manifest in blood and flesh in front of us. So we should not seek or search for the mistakes, because often, as Prabhuji said in the past, the mistakes of spiritual master can be a very priceless lessons for us, and the perfect action or perfect rationally action of the ordinary human being can be disastrous. And we have so many examples in history of humanity for that. So Prabhuji said, I'm the only mistake of my spiritual master. So I feel that this is a very, very priceless tip and priceless lesson that Prabhuji teaches, and he really feels this way. Jai Prabhuji.